Hello, welcome to Oscar Mike Radio. Today is October 29th, 2020, the last show, number 213 for the month of October. And I've got a first, ladies and gentlemen. I'm joined by an Army veteran, which is not new, business owner, which is not new, but his name is Travis. So I'm going to say, hi, Travis.
Hi, Travis.
Hi, Travis.
Travis.
That's just strange saying my own name to another dude who has my name. There's not that many of us.
No, no. I'm wondering though the uniqueness of the name, and I can actually, I've talked to my mom about it, and she actually told me straight up that I was named after the character from Old Yeller. I don't know. Did you get that? Did you get the same?
I did not get a cool beginning like that. I was simply told that my parents wanted a name that began with the letter T. They want something very distinct. They looked at all the T names and were like, wow, Travis is like, as a French heritage, done. I'm like, okay, that's great. Thank you. So it's been Travis ever since, and there's few of us, but there's a lot more I'm finding in the veterans community. So very cool. So folks, let me tell you how Travis and Travis got met up. We were both on James Van Puren's Veterans Business Hour, and he's talking to me about his company that he created called Caisson Shaving Company. And it really turned into this really cool thing. Before we do that, can you kind of just tell us about your military experience, active duty or reserve, and what that was like, Travis?
Yeah, sure. So just before my senior year in high school, playing football, one of the football coaches was a first sergeant with a local National Guard unit, an infantry unit. And he started talking to me. He's like, Travis, you're an okay football player, but you're not going to be a college player. You're not going to get picked up. You're not going to get any scholarships. Your GPA is okay, but what are you going to do for college? And I hadn't thought about it. I mean, I wasn't in a situation where I was going to have parents that could afford to pay for college. And so he knew what he was doing, and he was like, you need to come talk to my recruiter. So sure enough, a week after I turned 17, it was July 1st, 2001, walked into the recruiter's office with my dad. He was all for it. He was prior Army. And we signed on the dot shortly thereafterwards. It was July 1st when I went to MEPS and actually swore in. But so that was 2001. And sure enough, my plan was to go to college. 2 months later, September 11th hit, and that changed everything. What was, I thought was going to be 6 years in the Guard ended up turning out to being 12 years. Going to college ended up being a cluster of Semper Gumby almost, where, a year here, 6 months there, another year down the road. And then finally, in my 30s, trying to wrap everything up before my GI Bill expired. But yeah, 12 years, and my initial series of MOSs were all in field artillery. So I started off as a 13 Bravo, a gun bunny. The unit transitioned, they reclassed from Paladins, the self-propelled, to towed artillery right when I was finishing up OSET in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. So I got a message saying that they don't need any more 13 Bravos, they need 13 Echoes. Would I mind staying in Fort Sill for another 6 weeks and reclass? So by the time I even got done with the IT, I had already had 2 MOSs. That next summer, it would have been 2004. We were down at Fort Sill, not Fort Sill, but Fort McCoy, Wisconsin. I was young and dumb, and I said, sure, let's do it. So that's where it started. Iraq, I was out there in Baghdad at Camp Liberty from 04 to 05. I came back and immediately redeployed down to Arizona. Spent a year down on the border working with Border Patrol, running through the desert, helping them plant ground sensors, and working the camera systems and everything else. And then
Now,
finally,
were you Army full time, or were you working the civilian world at the same time doing this?
So no, I mean it was activated. There were Title 10, Title
Okay.
32 orders, but I
Okay.
was still National Guard. But as a National Guardsman, I had more active time than most active duty ended up having. So
It's funny how
uh,
that happens.
yeah,
So you're doing your stint in the Army National Guard, and you're going different places. And one of the things, folks, from the Veterans Business Hour, which is usually on Monday nights, and it's a bunch of us getting together talking about business, is you told the story about how you hated shaving in the field, which is something that is not fun. I can tell you personally, I was in the Yuma Desert a lot of times and using a Humvee or 5-ton mirror to shave in, and that sucked. And people don't appreciate what that's like. Maybe you can kind of tell it in a different way than I can.
even from when you're in basic training, I mean, you learn to dry shave. Taking the time to lather up your face, or give the proper protection isn't always there. You wake up and you're shaving pretty much as you're flying. Past that, when you're in your unit, you wake up in the field and people would bring shaving creams, but you learn right away that it can be problematic. Your first team leader, your first squad sergeant, they tell you that leave that stuff back at home, because God forbid it explodes in your rucksack, and then what are you going to do for the rest of the time out there? So any time that you're out in the field, you dry shaved, and I was not lucky enough to have the skin that could tolerate that. My neck would always break out. I mean, it would look like a pepperoni pizza, and it was miserable. And there was, you always hear embrace the suck, but I'd always wondered why do you have to, if somebody could come up with something that would make the suck less.
Well, you're for me a lot of times, because I wasn't in a cold weather environment. It was 100+ degrees easy, so the water was warm, but you're in the desert. It's drying as fast as you can get on your face. And you're right, we did not pack shaving cream for that reason, because it would either, if we had it locked up, it would sometimes explode because it just got so hot, or by the time it got on your face, it would just cake up on your face, and plus take up space in your Alice pack. So you're trying to save space and weight. So it just was and of course, us being Marines, I don't know how the National Guard is. Your sergeant, your corporal, your first sergeant wanted to make sure that you were clean shaven at all times. It was not optional. So it did suck. So to my surprise, you started this thing called the Caisson Shaving Company. And how did that all come together? When was the switch like, what, I'm tired of sucking. I want to embrace this. I want to embrace, comfort for a change and be a man at the same time. What germinated this idea, Travis?
So earlier this year, I had succumbed to some Facebook advertisements, and I had ordered some Dr. Squatch soap, and
Really?
manly smelling soap, and I thought it was cool, but I mean, it was really expensive. It was like $10 a bar, and I mean, it was good while it lasted. It's just I couldn't sustain, keep spending that amount of money. So I started thinking, I'm like, I can make soap, and thinking about the business feasibility of it, I'm like, well, Dr. Squatch is already at this. I looked at their presence and what they're doing in sales, and it's just like I'd be stepping into the ring with a monster right now. I looked at what exists for other veteran soap companies, and I'm like, you know what? I mean, it's not a market that I want to go into. If I'm going to go into business, I want to solve a problem, and I was still dealing with the after effects of terrible shaving habits, and I had been out of the military for quite some time, and that's when I started thinking back. I'm like, what if I were able to come up with a soap that could fix this? Because shaving soap, that's the original way of going and shaving and prepping your face. Shaving creams and gels, that's new technology, and it's not a technology that's necessarily more beneficial or creates a better shave. I argue that it's actually a worse quality shave. The only advantage is its convenience. You know, you press a button and the product will come out in your hand and you can just smother it on your face.
Right.
Whereas with the shaving soap, you want to take your time and you work up a lather, and it's more of a TLC process than it is a process of expediency.
So you have this idea now. I kind of like the Duke Cannon soap line. It's kind of not as expensive. It's not nearly as expensive as Dr. Squash, and they give back to veterans, and it's kind of cool. But it's becoming a crowded market because once those two started going at it, everybody's making a soap now. So how did you go from being the National Guard to working on a soap formula? What was it like, a, you know, in your kitchen just fooling around with stuff? How'd that happen?
Well, you know, National Guard, after I finished up, you know, all my deployments, I was in law enforcement for about 10 years.
Okay.
Got out of law enforcement, medical reasons, and moved to California. And out here, I've been working in defense contracting, you know, working for a computer manufacturer. We make rugged computers. So I've been working in sales one way or the other. And so the sales mentality is what had been kind of brewing this entrepreneurial venture. So having the knowledge to know that I needed to fill a need or create value into a market was the root of all of this. And so once I started toying out with this idea of a shaving soap, yeah, it was in my kitchen, working with different oils, different mixes, different, you know, the bentonite clay concentrations, different fragrance oils, and trying to figure out a combination that was just right. And about June, that's when I finally felt confident enough that I was going to release it to the masses.
So, you know, one of the cool things about it, and I'll get into my experience here in a minute, is the soap I have smells great, and I'm finding out that you know, if the ladies like the way the soap smells, it's an easier sell. Like they'll buy it for their guys, or they'll want to know where to get it from. I mean, who did you have for like a product tester / focus group for your soap?
My wife.
Well, I mean, she's giving you good advice, Travis.
Yeah.
Because Fire for Effect, the one I had is it's nice. It's nice.
The very first scent that I came out with, Boheka Blend.
Oh yeah.
And in case there's civilians watching the show and they don't know what Boheka is, it's bend over, here it comes again. But Boheka Blend, I was very simple. I went just with a straight fragrance oil, off the shelf, scent with it. I mean, it's just straight up sandalwood. There's no experimentations with it. It's simple. It's a very gentleman scent. It's recognizable and clean. Fire for Effect was definitely my first like mad scientist type of experimentation with it. And it's just like, you know, I've already got so much tie-in to field artillery with my products. And I wanted something that had a strong field artillery title for the scent name. Fire for Effect, I think, is the ultimate name that you could have for an artillery-based product or an artillery-themed product. And then from there, it was just like, I wanted scents that you could tie and associate to the military. So Fire for Effect, it's tobacco leaf, because I think about 75% of people in the military have some form of a nicotine addiction. Fresh coffee, which is a requirement for any branch. And then a little bit of hatred, that was a pure bottled essence of hatred from some voluntary command sergeant majors. So I walked around on the grass and I bottled up their essence of hatred.
I love
and
it.
then a hint of vanilla.
No, it works. It works. That's some good stuff. Speaking of artillery themed, I'm sitting there, and folks, I'm you know, he's going over his company on the Zoom chat. He's like, I'm Caisson Shaving Company. I'm like, oh, Caissons, over hill, over dale, as we hit the dusty trail, and our caissons go rolling along. I'm like, that's so cool, and you really like that. So tell people who don't know what a caisson is, because it's surprising to me, Travis, how many of your fellow Army buddies do not know what a caisson is. I'm like, how can I? I'm a Marine. Even I know what that is. What's a caisson?
So caisson is a wheeled wagon that would be used to haul ammunition, specifically like cannon ammunition. So back in Civil War time or even prior, the caisson was the wagon that would haul around the gunpowder and the cannonballs. So the Army tie-in, or the field artillery tie-in, is the Army song was originally When the Caissons Go Rolling Along. And Big Army adopted that and changed it to When the Army Goes Rolling Along. But for me, going through basic training at Fort Sill, home of the field artillery, I only knew When the Caissons Go Rolling Along. So you fast forward a couple of years later, I remember I was on a Soldier of the Month board, and I got hit with the question, what's the Army song? And I just knew it as When the Caissons Go Rolling Along. So I started singing that song. And they ended up kicking me out of the board. But I wasn't wrong, but I wasn't right either. So yeah.
So what's the Army song then?
When the Army Goes Rolling Along, which is just a
Oh,
butchering of When the Caissons Go Rolling Along.
okay. I learned something every day because I thought for sure it was When the Caissons. Okay.
Yeah.
All
But
right.
I was thinking of the name of the company, and I still have all of the original artwork that when I designed it up, I was going to call it Tack to Shave, like tactical shave.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, you can't have tactical shaving soap. Like, don't do it. Like, there's tactical coffee mugs and tactical, you know, visors for your vehicle. There's like people use and abuse the word tactical, and I'm like, yeah, they're right. I'm like, I need something that's got some class and distinction and a reference that if you know, you know. If you don't know, then my product's probably not meant for you anyways.
Well, it was just cool. When I got my package from your company, it had the Caisson Shaving Company logo stamped on the mail package. I thought that was very, very cool and stood out. I mean, from start to finish. Um, so you have this idea. You don't want to be like anybody else. You create your blends, and you work with that, and your wife definitely knows what she's doing, because I get nothing but compliments on my stuff. Um, then how's it been like talking about moving, selling, logistics of selling the product and moving the product, especially just for a bonus in 2020 when you're being told not to start new stuff.
Yeah, but in hindsight, probably not the best idea to start up a company during a pandemic. But if anybody's going to start up a company during a pandemic, I think our veteran community is the best community to try for that challenge. I mean, we
Absolutely.
probably have the strongest motivation, resiliency, leadership. I mean, the core values that are going to be necessary to push your way through, in a pandemic. But starting things up, being a product-based business, I'm very fortunate that I had a lot of buy-in and support from friends and family to start off with. There's a negative side effect to my product, the shaving soap specifically, is it lasts forever. So I don't have a lot of return customers. I haven't had a lot of return customers to this point, because even my first customers back in June still haven't finished their cans of soap. So I'm waiting, like, okay, I could start seeing this roll of return customers in December. But yeah, starting off first was definitely a strong emphasis on direct-to-consumer sales. Business to business is extremely difficult right now. Businesses don't want to pick up new products, especially novel or untested products. And especially they don't want to pick up from somebody that just started business a couple months ago. They're looking for a lot of safety and security right now. And that's through the civilian retailers, and even into the military retailers like Army, Marine Corps, Exchange Systems. But the fortunate thing that I'm really looking forward to coming up is launch on Amazon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How has
The
that been?
So I wasn't going to sell my products on Amazon just because I knew it can be extremely problematic in a good way. If you launch a product on Amazon, you could very quickly have the problem where you have too many orders, and if you don't have your steps ready to manufacture and keep up with it, you're going to start getting bad reviews. You're going to start getting some negative demerits from Amazon because you're not keeping up with supply. Eventually, you could actually lose your ability to deal business with Amazon. So I didn't want to do it, but I actually got partnered up with, or I got accepted into a program called the Military Entrepreneur Program. It started off through the VP connection. James had set me up with both Ronnie and Raul with Dual Use Ventures.
Yeah, I've seen them talk about this. They did an FBA class, my Amazon class. It was extremely interesting, and yeah, it was very insightful.
Yeah, so I think Mike's working through that process right now. I've got a bit further than Mike is right now, and then we've put everything on hold until after the holidays, which everybody would say, well, why? You'd want to be selling right now during the holidays, but I really don't. Right now is when I need to be bolstering my inventory and still continuing on my direct-to-consumer versus pushing anything on Amazon right now is going to require a bit of advertising budget because my competitors are on Amazon right now, have a head start. They've been dropping a ton of money into advertising, and it's just the benefit wouldn't be quite there. So we're looking at first of the year launching on Amazon.
All right, so let's talk about the consumer experience, and we'll use me for an example. And folks, I'm talking with Travis Arnold, who is the veteran Army National Guard, founder and CEO of Caisson Shaving Company, and met him through James Van Prooyen's Veterans Business Hour. So, this is your story is why I wanted to create and do Oscar Mike Radio. So I'm like, I want to go through the ordering process. That's really important to me, because if it's a huge click funnel or I got to go through all these hoops, I'm not interested. I'm just not going to be ecstatic about it. But the thing that surprised me most about yours is not only was the online process through your site easy, for some reason, I don't know how this all works, I'm figuring out, is once I placed the order, Facebook Messenger started sending me updates about my order. Which I found almost, it's maybe I haven't seen it before, whatever, but that was almost clear, because in some regards, depending upon what's going on, I won't check my email and I'll be on Messenger all day long doing stuff. So to have it right there was really, really cool. Picked out my shaving soap, and I got some of this, which I'll get into in a second, and said, I'm just going to order this stuff. Now, I did not get this, ladies and gentlemen. I'll get to that in a second. I thought, to give us a true, apples to apples test, I'm going to get the shaving soap, open it up, and then apply it to my face with my hand. And I do this, and about a day later, Travis is like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm just going to do this test, man. It's no big deal. I didn't want to get a brush. I'm just going to use my fingers." She's like, "I created this soap to be used with a brush. I'm seeing you a brush. Do not use your hands." Oh my God. So explain that before I go into my spiel. Explain why this is the preferred method of delivery when you fire for effect.
The bristles are going to create the lather. You can absolutely use your hands. In a field scenario, you might want to use your hands in case, I've got the brush here as well. If you've got just a badger hair brush, you probably don't want to bring this out into the field, which that might segue here into a little bit about the new brushes that I've got coming out. But if you're at home, you might as well use the brush. That's the best way to do it. If you're out in the field and you don't have a synthetic brush, then you can use your hands. You're going to be able to get a little bit of a slurry versus a full foam, but you can at least get some protection on your face and have a comfortable shave versus a dry shave.
So again, I didn't order one of these, ladies and gentlemen, and I got emphatically encouraged to use one. So one came with the package. I want to thank you for that, Travis. So I get my package, and first of all, ladies and gentlemen, I absolutely, if I get this thing right, I freaking love this logo. There's no questioning what this is when I see it on the post office box, when I open it up where it's in my cabinet, I know that this is a Caisson Shaving Company product. And if you're military and you're a little bit more rounded, you probably know that this is like the real deal. So I really like this logo. It's clean, it's easy to understand. Points, points, points. So I open this up. I got it open now, ladies and gentlemen. And even in my area where I'm recording, I'm getting the aroma. That's all I can describe it like, because it's not like this chemical smell, Travis. It's like, hey, it's time to shave, dude. And you're gonna feel good doing it. So I love the smell. I mean, I'm a dude and I love the smell. And let me tell you, some females in my life like the smell too. So your wife's good, dude. Your wife's good. So what I did next is I got some water on the brush. And ladies and gentlemen, I have a video on this. I might put some clips here as we're talking, but I put some water on my brush and I started stirring it in the soap container like that. Was I doing it right?
Yep.
And then I just spread it on my face. And I remember, Travis, my grandfather doing this. And he didn't get in a hurry in the morning. He made sure that his neck and everything was all spread. I'm like, this is not that bad. And I got to tell you, people want to hurry up. But Travis, you got something here where it's for guys, especially since we're not ladies, we don't spend a lot of time in the bathroom. What's a couple extra minutes to have a good morning experience? I want to thank you for that.
I think a lot of it's coming into we got to take care of ourselves. The notion of self-care, the TLC aspect of our grooming and our hygiene. Hopefully, that's making some type of a comeback here with it.
Come back for me.
Yeah, well, we've been really lazy and wanting
No.
the convenient way of shaving, and here, you're not taking much more time. At most to work up the lather is 10-15 seconds.
I'm going to tell you guys, I mean, you might be saying, oh my God, here's a brush, here's this. And you're right, Travis. It was maybe 45 seconds because that's my first time using it, tops, to wet the brush, lather up and do it. So I'm like, I can do this. I can do this. But so I loved it. And then, I did my face. My face is all nice. And I felt really good. And it was really smooth. Like I use a Schick Quattro. I don't use a straight edge. I don't use a Gillette. And I noticed it was a really smooth, no real after film left on my face. It was different than the edge gel I use. And then I looked at the ingredients on this versus my edge gel. And I'm like, kind of like with John Curry Semper Savage.
Yep.
There's all these chemicals I didn't realize I was putting on my face every day, dude. And these are like, not that this is a simple product, but I'm like, okay, these are all names I understand and recognize. And I'm like, oh my God, I've been putting this kind of stuff on my face for 20 years, no problem. What's it like to create this naturally based product, man?
There was a lot of selfish reasons for it too. Like I said, I had really, really bad issues with it. And I had been in and out with different doctors and dermatologists trying to figure out what it is. If I had stayed in there, if I was active duty military, they probably would have given me a shaving profile. But, all I can attribute it to was the fact that there's stuff in there that just probably doesn't belong on your skin. It might be FDA approved. And you're seeing things like titanium dioxide. It's just like, how is titanium dioxide meant for your skin? How are some, aerosol and propellants like butane? How is that good for your skin? And so just looking at it, and when we're going through, it's just like, you got to use the fats and the oils to render the soap. But I just want to keep oils and things that are meant for your body, that are good for your body, that have been tested and proven to be good, and keep it at that. So that, when you go through the ingredient list, that's what you see. You see oils, you see fats, you see moisturizing conditions. The only one thing that people probably aren't familiar with, but it's been used for centuries, is bentonite clay. And it's a great way to create that. And like when you felt like when you're shaving, that just slickness, It was from the bentonite clay.
Okay.
So yeah, the ingredients in here, they're all natural. It's nothing that you can't pronounce, or you won't understand what it's meant for.
Well, I got to tell you, Travis, I do my face. I'm happy with my face. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to show you the bonus clip now. And this is where Caisson Shaving Company and Travis Arnold sold it for me forevermore. May I reveal the dome? This is the dome. This was a source of amusement, entertainment, and wonder, Travis, from my fellow Marine Corps buddies, drill instructors, and officers. They could not believe what this thing looked like and how massive it was. Long story, but I'm like, okay, this is the test. So I look, and I'll have some clips in here, folks, of me putting the lather on my dome, but I lather up my dome just like I'm doing right now. And I got to tell you, Travis, I got a smooth, fantastic shave that, sometimes with my head, it's different skin than my face. I don't get it. I'm not a dermatologist, but I had none of those little bumps that occur, like probably on your neck, the same thing that do in my head. And it was just a really smooth experience. And you'll see the video. I mean, I didn't nick myself. I didn't have any hangups. It just, my blade glided over my head. And if I had some turtle wax, I could have really gotten a nice shine that day. I mean, well done, dude. Well done. So what I'm trying to say is, Travis, not only did this work well on my face, it worked well on my head. It worked well, man. And kind of leads me to my question is, what's the feedback been like for your product with people who use it?
I mean, for you with the full dome experience, anybody that's been using it as a face cream or face shaving preparation, but also even for the ladies as well too, from the Stacy from
That's right.
Semper Savage to I've had some other ladies that have been using it. My wife uses it as well too. Everybody's in agreement with it. The feel and the effect of the shave is substantially different than the commercial junk that they've been using. And on the ladies' side, the complaint usually has been is it's like a sticky, almost like a tackiness once they're done shaving, and they feel like they have to shower again just because they got done shaving. Whereas here, I mean, you should, but you don't have to even use an aftershave. Your face is smooth. I mean, you splash some water on it and you're done. Your face feels refreshed while moisturized. And I think that's where everybody likes it, is that it doesn't have all the artificial chemicals put in there to try to create some type of a moisturizing feel with it. Instead it's actual natural moisturizers that, once it's done, it's done. They wipe off and your face feels good. Your legs feel great. I mean, I definitely haven't used it on my legs.
I was going to say, I mean, you shaved your legs, Travis? I didn't know that.
But and then to hear that it worked good on your head, I think that's the pinnacle with it, because the skin on top of your head, it's extremely sensitive. You have, I mean, a ton of nerve endings right there. Plus, I'm sure
you can say it, Travis. You can say it's a huge head.
Sure, you've nicked yourself before, and any little nick on your head bleeds like it's an ER wound.
It's something else. It's something else. But I just want to tell you, I mean, I'm using your product, and here's something that you can't really quantify and put a price on, but it's the fact that I'm not really slowing down my morning routine, but it's a couple extra steps that allows me to collect myself for the day that I find really worth it. And I would say to anybody, you can buy a tin of shaving cream, or you can buy this, and it's made here in the U.S. It's made by a veteran, and it's good for you. And so I don't mind, the thing's going to say, well, I can get a bottle of Edge Gel or Barbasol for $3. This is a little bit more than that. But I'm like, yeah, but what are you really putting on your face? What's the experience really like? And the experience here was good. Um, do you have any? Oh, sorry, I forgot. Really enjoying the smell of this. Explain this. Now, I'm trying to get up here, ladies and gentlemen. This was like on your website. Do you make this? How did this Northern Gent figure into your offering? That was a really cool add-on that I got.
So I quickly realized, and it was almost instantaneous. Once I launched everything, the input from friends and family were like, hey, this is really cool, but you're selling shaving soap, but you need brushes. I'm like, oh crap, I need brushes. So I started having to, I mean, it's lesson learned. I mean, I'm new into business here, so I hadn't thought about that. Somebody came back and they're like, listen, we really like your shaving soap and your brushes, but what about an aftershave? Like, that's really good. I want to make my own aftershave, but I've got to research it and I've got to develop it. So thankfully with the store setup that I've got through Shopify, it allows me to do a lot of drop shippings. So I'm able to source and find, you know, some products that I can include in as add-on sales to increase my average order value, to increase value to my customers with it. And just kind of create convenience with it, because somebody goes to the site, they'd like to be able to get anything and everything regarding shaving. You know, you go to Caisson Shaving Company, you got that kind of expectation that it's, you know, anything involving shaving with it. So, you know, doing that drop shipping for the aftershaves for right now, but that's also the aftershaves already in the business development plan of one of the next products that I'll start manufacturing myself.
Cool, cool. So you're going through these challenges of growing and sourcing your product and getting on with mainstream providers like Amazon. And by all accounts, it just seems like you're off to a strong start. And you know, certainly, I think I would be a repeat customer, absolutely. But I guess I'm trying to ask is what's immediately next for Caisson Shaving Company? What do you got going on right now or in the near future before the holidays?
So in preparation for the holidays, and then also just in the natural progression of the company is where I launched what I called the anti-subscription shaving kit.
Okay.
The you know, some of the big names out in the shaving community right now, like the Dollar Shave Club or Harry's or Gillette's launching something. They're creating these subscription-based services, which I think is ridiculous. But they're obviously doing very, very well. I think Dollar Shave Club is pulling in about 100 million a year. Harry's is doing even more than that. I think they're pushing 200 million a year now. But people are buying convenience. It's the convenience of getting, you know, 4 or 5 blades delivered to them once a month, and they're not having to worry about going to the store for it. But they're paying an exorbitant amount of money for that. And I was doing the math with it, and even on the cheapest setup that you can find, you know, 15 bucks a month over the course of 12 months, you're spending $150, $175 a year on shaving supplies. I'm like, you know what, I can do better. I can get you an entire year worth of shaving supplies for half that price. Get it to you one kit, one box, once a year, fire and forget, and you're good. And so that's what I came up with, is the anti-subscription shaving club. So that's been launched, and it's starting to pick up some steam with it. I think people can see the value that, you know, yes, it's a higher upfront cost. It's 80 bucks. But that $80 covers you for the entire year. And, you know, if you want to take Dollar Shave Club as the example with it, they're cheap made Chinese blades versus mine. They're, hands down, mine, it's a better quality product, much higher value with it for less cost. So that's what just was launched. I'm in pre-sales and preparing for the launch of my first shaving brush. These shaving brushes that I have right now, I'm having to source those elsewhere, but there's not really any U.S. manufacturers for shaving brushes. If there are,
Really?
they're extremely expensive.
Oh, wow.
You know, if you go to Art of Shaving, you're going to spend about $150 on a shaving brush. If you go to Jack Black, $150 to $250 for a shaving brush. And I wasn't able to find where the country of manufacturing was. But if you look for high-end premium shaving brushes, they're all in excess of $150. You know, so here I wanted to come up with a premium shaving brush that's gonna last forever. I wanted the construction to be solid, the military theme. So I started thinking about it, and you know, you've got your shaving brush, the shaving brush that you have here, the knot right here where it meets the handle,
Yep.
that's 22 millimeters.
Okay.
24 millimeters, you know, two millimeters bigger than that, is kind of on the, you know, the preferred size of it. You know, that's a bigger head. It's got more of a flare. You can get more of a lather. And I was just thinking, like, 24 millimeters is really close to 25 millimeters. 25 millimeters is the same size as the Bushmaster round.
Right.
Let's make it 25 millimeter round.
Oh.
So I began working with it. I hired on a Marine Corps veteran that does 3D animation, also does a lot with the renderings and the drawings and the things like that. So we started working up for the drawings and the designs of the brush. We got those finished, and then I started looking on, well, where can I manufacture these? Because I mean, I don't have the lathe, I don't have the mill, I don't have any of that here yet. So I needed to do contract manufacturing. I was almost having to go overseas to do the manufacturing until I had a conversation with a good buddy of mine. He owns a company called Chaytek International. Chaytek is also the manufacturer of the M200 intervention sniper rifle, the M300. I mean, they make premium, high-end, you know, reach out and touch somebody at a mile and a half away type of sniper rifles. And I was talking to him, I'm like, hey, what's the odds that you could mill out some of these handles in between your barrels? And he's like, absolutely. And so we started working on, you know, building up the bill of materials and the cost and everything associated with it. And we got all done. And I'm like, holy crap, I'm going to be able to make these brushes here in the States at half of the cost of what you can buy something at Artist Shaving. So that's what's going on right now. We are in the pre-sale phase. I need to hit the pre-sales hard, as you know, it is a big investment to come out with a product like this and to start manufacturing on a product. So hopefully this goes well. I did want to have where the first round of these brushes were delivered in time for Christmas. I'm still seeing that everything will be fine and on track for that, but it's just, yeah, just trying to hit those pre-sales as hard as possible.
Well, I'm seeing those. I'm gonna add that to my list to get here next week. But I like the design. It looks like a shell, for lack of a better term. It has your logo almost like it's engraved on the handle, which is really cool. And you told me that these bristles on your new one will last a lifetime.
Yep.
Like I asked you, how's that? How does that work?
So here, the ones that we're sending out right now, they're badger hair, and they're great. But with any type of a natural hair, over time, you know, it's not going to last forever. It can either dry out, it's going to break, something's going to happen. The synthetic brushes, brush heads that I'm using, they're going to last forever. They're going to be epoxied into these steel casings. The steel casings are Cerakoted. I mean, they're as indestructible as possible. The one thing that I'm anticipating could potentially happen is that the brush head separates from the handle, and if that happens, send it back to me. We'll you know, clean it up, get it re-epoxied, send it back over to you, and you know, no charge to you whatsoever. So I'm not advertising a lifetime warranty on them, because I hate that, very much like the movie Tommy Boy. I hate the lifetime warranty with it, because I shouldn't have to have that as being a source of value for the product. But I'm telling you, like, if anything ever happens to the brush, send it back and I'm going to make it right, because the damn thing's going to be indestructible.
One question about brushes I just wanted to ask. My grandfather would store his brushes on a holder like this. Is that preferred than just seeing it on? Okay, question answered. So I need to get one of those.
So with the 25 millimeter Bushmaster brushes, I will be eventually coming out with a matching stand and a matching double-edged razor. So like if you olive drab was your color of choice, or if it was the tan or whatever it is, you'd be able to have that full setup, stand, razor, brush, all with this, tactical, color scheme. But it's the tie, and it's I think the theme of the company.
Well, awesome, awesome. So look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not getting paid to gush over this company. People send me products. I test them. If I like them, I get excited about them. As I did do a video, and Travis liked it, so that was really authentic. I like the fact that it's a veteran-owned company. I like the fact that it's made here in the United States, and I like the fact. I mean, I really do. I have a lot of respect for you launching this product during this year, because other things that I'm trying to do, I am being told by people a lot smarter than me, can't do it right now. Don't launch anything right now. You're just wasting time. And I'm like, that's not even America. It doesn't make sense to me. So the fact that you're doing this and going against the grain really shows how committed you are to what you're doing, that you believe in the product you're making. I think that's, it certainly resonates with me, Travis.
Thank you. I think we've talked about this a little bit in VP's happy hour, but even though there is a pandemic right now, I would never tell somebody you should wait. There's a lot that you could be doing and getting set up with right now to even begin doing business. Nobody ever warned me about the amount of dumb paperwork that you got to do just to be technically considered a legal business. And the headache involving that was astronomical. But start with some of the basic things with it, getting yourself set up. Start, with your little things to get off with, but don't think that you've got to invest a ton of money. I launched everything that I needed with Caisson Shaving Company for under $1,000. I took that from my savings. I bought the initial supplies that I need, and then everything that's come on thus far has just been reinvestments. So as I sell products and I make a profit on it, I reinvest it. If I'm still working full time, and if I've got some expendable income after the end of my pay period, and we're about to get paid again, then I'll invest that into the company so I can have some more growth. It's called bootstrapping. Yep. And if you can you start up a business bootstrapping right now, go for it, because it's a win-win situation no matter what. If I were to not have a single sale at this point, if everybody just stopped, buying my products, the worst thing that would happen is that I would have like a lifetime supply of shaving soap. I'm not in debt to anybody. I'm not negative balanced on anything. My numbers are green at this point. So even with all the inventory that I'm carrying right now, that's all pure profit sitting on shelves. So even if somebody did stop buying, or if everybody did stop buying, it wouldn't affect me. And I think that's the best way. If you can start up a business and not get indebted, don't go and start thinking that you need a venture capitalist right away. Don't start thinking that you need an SBA loan or something like that. If you can bootstrap your way to start it off, do it. It's slower, but it also, I think, teaches you a lot of resource management, being frugal, and being wise with how you reinvest your money.
Awesome. Sound counsel, folks. Sound counsel. And if you are a veteran looking to start a business, or you're challenged starting your business, I'll have a link, or James VP is what we call him. He can get you contact with people who can help you, who are veterans and speak our language. So it's very, very cool to be part of that group and to see these businesses trying to get going during this challenging time. How can people find Caisson Shaving Company on a website or social media, Travis?
It's the website, www.caisson-shaving.com. That's a good reminder that, I need to work on getting the Caisson Shaving redirected as well, too. Facebook is at Caisson Shaving. Instagram is at Caisson_shaving. Also a little bit on TikTok as well. That's at Caisson Shaving. Pinterest at Caisson Shaving.
Oh, wow.
So I would try to get out there on every platform that there is.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, as we wind down, I just want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with me. I certainly learned a lot about, your product, and I really think the message here is, don't wait. Get started where you are with what you have, and then build on that. And you can go from thinking about something to having something like this that you can either, at the very least, have in your garage or give to somebody as a gift. Look, guys, if you have this, your wife or girlfriend is going to be happy. Ladies, your Christmas is solved. Your Christmas is solved with this. And I smell good when I'm done. I mean, it's just a huge bonus, Travis. Huge bonus. So as we say in Hawk, Travis, missile in flight, but we are mission in flight. I want to thank you for coming on. I'm looking forward to your success in 2021. I like the green shell casing lather applicator, oh yeah. So I'm going to get one of those, but I really hope to have you back on in 2021 to figure out how you grew and how Amazon worked out for you.
Absolutely. We'll schedule this in already for October 25th, 2021.
Oh, before that, I mean, come on. You're going to hit March and you're in Valentine's Day and be like, stratospheric, my man.
We'll see. We'll see.
All right. All right. I'm Travis. This is Oscar Mike Radio with Travis Arnold of Caisson Shaving Company, Army veteran. And Travis, it's been good talking to you.
As well, Travis. Thank you.